She stood like a shard of frozen lightning, regal and terrifying, her crown of ice catching the sunlight like a threat. I should have bowed. I should have stayed quiet. But no. I smirked and said, "Hey, beauty queen." Her eyes, a cold fire of swirling silver and blue, narrowed. "Watch your mouth, human," she snapped, voice like a blade on steel. And just like that, my heart kicked against my ribs like it wanted out. I'd faced off against pirates, smugglers, and even that one telepathic jelly thing from Jupiter's moon. None of them made me feel like this, like I was balancing on a thread stretched over fire. She turned sharply, icy braids swinging behind her armor of shimmering crystal plates, and I knew two things. 1, I had just insulted royalty. 2, I never wanted to stop seeing that fire in her eyes. My name is Jack Hartley. I was supposed to be Earth's representative in a boring alliance meeting. Now I'm half in love with an alien who could probably snap my spine with a look. This wasn't in the mission brief. They told me diplomacy would be simple. Smile, shake hands, don't start any intergalactic incidents. I passed the academy with high scores in alien linguistics and first contact protocol. I'd studied 100 alien species, memorized their customs, even danced that weird elbow-only jig from the Venari sector without making a fool of myself. None of that prepared me for her. The Iceborne arrived 3 days ago, their ship descending like a cathedral made of frozen glass. I'd watched from the landing bay, shielding my eyes as the sun fractured over the hull into 1,000 cold rainbows. I'd heard rumors, whispers of their queen, daughter of a dying star, armor carved from living frost. Turns out the rumors undersold her. Her name was Remy, at least the closest translation the interpreter drone gave me. She walked like the galaxy owed her something. Regal, controlled, dangerous. Every step she took echoed through the marble corridors of Earth's newly built embassy. And somehow I was chosen as her guide. No pressure, right? I first met her in the Grand Hall, a place built to impress. Towering arches, Earth's flags lined up like children at a parade, and security drones humming quietly above. She stood alone, flanked by 2 towering guards made of what looked like pure ice. I was supposed to say welcome in her tongue. Instead, I opened with a grin and, "Hey, beauty queen," it just slipped out. Her reaction was instantaneous. I swear the air around her dropped 10 degrees. One step forward, a flick of her wrist, and her clawed fingers brushed my jaw with the threat of a slap. "Watch your mouth, human." It wasn't just anger in her voice. It was offense. Deep, cultural. Like I'd crossed a line I didn't even know existed. Still, I didn't back down. Maybe it was stupidity. Maybe adrenaline. Or maybe it was that I'd never seen anyone so stunningly untouchable. "Noted," I muttered, straightening up. Her eyes searched mine for something. Weakness, maybe. Fear. When she didn't find it, her lips curled into the faintest ghost of a smirk. "Earth humor is primitive," she said, "but bold." Remy turned, walking away like the whole exchange meant nothing to her. But I saw her pause, just for a second, before the heavy doors closed behind her. That was the start of it. The moment everything changed. Now, 3 days into the summit, I've been assigned as her escort, translator, and cultural liaison, which is a fancy way of saying, babysit the Ice Queen and try not to get murdered. They tell me this is a mission of peace. But the way she looks at me, I don't know, feels like war. And somehow I'm not sure I mind. I'd always believed that time either softened people or broke them. With Remy, it did neither. She was still sharp as ever, glacial stares, clipped responses, and a posture that could freeze water midair. And now we were being sent on a joint cultural expedition to the ruins of Davari, a neutral alien site on Earth, part of some PR stunt to prove human-Iceborne cooperation. 2 species, 1 task, 0 chance of survival without teamwork. The transport ship was barely large enough for 2, and even smaller when she sat beside me, radiating silence like a force field. "I don't need your help," she said as we crossed into low orbit, her gaze fixed ahead. "I'm not here to help," I replied. "Just to make sure you don't start a war." That earned me a sideways glance. Not a hostile one. Curious, maybe. Still, she said nothing. Hours later, we landed in what used to be the city of Davari Prime, a relic of an alien race long gone. Crumbling towers of coral stone pierced the sky, their spires leaning like tired giants. Vines crawled across ancient structures, nature reclaiming what war had left behind. Stay close, I warned, scanning with my wrist calm. These ruins are full of sinkholes. She didn't respond, just stepped ahead, like the ground itself would never dare betray her. And then, of course, it did. A crack, a shift, a sudden collapse. Remy! I lunged forward, catching her wrist as the stone gave way beneath her. She dangled, weightless, armored hand clutching mine. Her eyes locked onto mine, wider than I'd ever seen. Fear? No. Embarrassment. She hated being caught, being vulnerable. But she didn't let go. I pulled with everything I had, grunting, straining, until she was back on solid ground. We fell together, breathing hard, dust rising around us like ghosts. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then she spoke, softly this time. Why did you do that? Because you're not as invincible as you pretend to be, I replied, still catching my breath. She turned her face away, but not before I saw the smallest crack in her expression. Not weakness, humanity. That night, we camped beside the ruins, under the twin moons. A small fire danced between us. I cooked something half-edible from the rations. She politely declined. I do not consume carbon-based protein, she said. Right? I muttered. Because that would be far too human. She didn't even blink. Exactly. And yet she stayed near, closer than before. She asked questions about Earth, about human families, why we laughed so much. I told her about my sister back home, about old Earth music, about coffee and storms, and why some people fall in love with the ocean. She listened, really listened. Eventually, I asked her, why do you hate humans so much? She was silent for so long, I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, your kind destroyed the crystal forests of Ither, our sacred place, for minerals, for greed. I watched them burn. I didn't do that, I said, voice low. No, she admitted. But you carry the same blood. That hit harder than I expected. And yet, she didn't walk away. The next day, we found what we were sent to retrieve. An ancient data core buried beneath the ruins. While I extracted it, she stood watch, her back to mine. I noticed something strange. How natural it felt to have her there, like I could trust her with my life. That's when the ambush came. Drones. Not ours. Mercenaries, maybe. Hired by those who didn't want peace between Earth and the Iceborne. They surrounded us in seconds. Remy reacted like lightning. A blur of ice, armor, and controlled fury. Her crystal blades sang through the air, slicing metal like silk. I fought too, blasting two with my plasma pistol before one pinned me. I hit the ground hard, saw the blade coming, and then, she was there, blocking it. For me, the drone's blade struck her armor, cracking it at the shoulder. She screamed, not in pain, but in rage, and drove her blade upward through the attacker's core. Sparks rained down like stars. When the fight ended, we were both bloodied, breathing hard, alive. I reached for her shoulder, where the armor had shattered. Don't, she whispered. Not yet. But I saw it, saw the truth in her eyes. She'd risked everything for me. That night, we didn't speak. We just sat in silence, close enough to feel the warmth radiating between us. Something unspoken had shifted. Not love. Not yet. But something far more dangerous. Trust. And in that moment, I realized the real mission wasn't about diplomacy or relics. It was her. And somehow, I was completely unprepared. We returned to base in silence. Something had changed between us in those ruins. I could feel it in the way she walked beside me. Not in front, not behind. Beside. Like equals. Like something more than just reluctant allies. No one mentioned the ambush when we got back. No official reports. No investigation. Just fake smiles and half-hearted claps on the back from the Earth Command. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a mission. It was a setup. Someone wanted this alliance to fail. And someone was watching every move we made. Remy said nothing as we debriefed. Her face was calm, unreadable. But when we were alone in the quarters they'd assigned us, she looked at me and said, "We're being hunted." I nodded. And not just by drones. She paced like a caged panther. This wasn't human sabotage. The machines were coded in ancient Iceborne dialect, obsolete to our military. Someone from my world doesn't want peace. That shocked me more than I let on. The Iceborne were supposed to be united, powerful, perfect. But maybe no one's perfect. I reached for her hand, not romantically, just a gesture of solidarity. She flinched but didn't pull away. "What do we do?" I asked. Her eyes flicked to the door. Then she leaned in close, her voice barely a whisper. "There's something beneath your Antarctic base. A chamber of my ancestors. Hidden. Sealed for centuries. We must go there." "Why?" I asked. "What's down there?" She didn't answer directly. Answers. Proof. Maybe even salvation. We left that night in a stolen skimmer. The ice wind cut into my skin like knives. Remy didn't seem to feel it. Her people were born of frost after all. But even she seemed uneasy. "Are you scared?" I asked as we approached the massive glacier wall. She shook her head. "Fear is for those who live short lives." I smiled. "Good thing I'm human, then." Inside the glacier, the tunnels shimmered with embedded crystal veins. Natural but pulsing faintly, like arteries. The deeper we went, the more alien it felt. Like stepping into someone else's heartbeat. And then we reached it. A wall of translucent sapphire. Remy stepped forward, pressed her hand to a glowing sigil. The wall dissolved. Behind it, a cathedral of ice. Frozen spires arched above a circular chamber filled with relics. Holographic runes floated in the air. Ancient devices hovered silently. And in the center stood a massive obelisk pulsing with light. "This," she said, "is the heart of Ivorith, the memory vault of my people." She stepped forward and placed her palm on the obelisk. And everything changed. Light exploded from it, enveloping us both. Suddenly I wasn't in the chamber. I was seeing memories, through her eyes. Wars, betrayal, prophecy. A human and an Iceborne will either doom the galaxy or save it. The vision faded. I collapsed to my knees, heart racing. "You knew," I whispered. Remy turned, her face unreadable. "Not until now. My bloodline, it is tied to the prophecy. The Iceborne feared it, hid it, but it's real." "And us?" I asked, my voice barely audible. She knelt beside me, her icy hand brushing my cheek. "We were never meant to meet, and yet we did." Couldn't breathe, because I knew it too. This wasn't just tension, or attraction. It was something ancient, fated, dangerous. "But your people," I started, "would execute me if they knew," she said. "They do not tolerate weakness, or affection." The word felt alien in her mouth. But it wasn't wrong. And still we sat there, close, quiet, together. The silence shattered when the alarm sounded. Someone had tracked us. A roar echoed through the glacier tunnels, followed by the stomp of armored boots. Remy stood instantly, her crystal blade in hand. "Go. Now. I'm not leaving you." She turned, fire in her eyes. "Then stay close or die." We ran. Blasts echoed off the ice walls. I fired blindly behind us. Remy moved like a blur, slicing down one pursuer after another, her face set in grim determination. But there were too many. As we neared the exit, a blast knocked me off my feet. My vision swam. My wrist comm shattered. Remy screamed my name. Then everything went white. I woke up somewhere warm. Soft light. Medical beeps. The smell of antiseptic. Earth base. I tried to sit up, but my limbs were restrained. "What the hell?" A voice answered from the corner. "You were found unconscious. The Iceborne woman disappeared. We're questioning your loyalty now, Mr. Hartley." It was General Kravitz. Cold eyes. Military haircut. The kind of man who saw emotions as viruses. "You don't understand." I said. She saved me. She saved all of us. You fraternized with a hostile alien, he snapped. You're being reassigned. Effective immediately. I need to find her, I growled, straining against the cuffs. He leaned in. She's gone, Jack. Either dead or hiding. The door closed behind him, and I sat there, heart hammering in my chest, knowing the truth. She wasn't dead. She was protecting me. From her world. From mine. From everything that wanted us apart. But I wasn't done. I was going to find her. Even if it meant starting a war. They released me after 4 days. No charges. No explanation. Just a stern warning. And orders to stay grounded. But I wasn't grounded. Not really. Not when every part of me burned to see her again. Remy hadn't just saved me from death. She had changed me. Somewhere between her first icy glare and her final scream in that glacier. I had stopped being Earth's representative and started being hers. It made no sense. It defied every code I'd ever memorized. But it was real. And now she was gone. The next few days blurred. I moved through the base like a ghost, dodging questions, avoiding surveillance. I hacked into restricted comms, traced iceborne signal logs, cross-referenced forbidden satellite paths. That's when I found it. An encrypted iceborne transmission. Buried deep. Coordinates. Somewhere in the dead zone between Earth's poles and the upper stratosphere. A floating structure hidden by cloaking fields. Too small to be a ship. Too isolated for military. It had to be her. I didn't ask permission. I stole a stealth glider, punched in the coordinates, and took off in the dead of night. The sky was silent. Stars above me, frozen tundra below. My hands trembled the entire flight. Not from fear, but from the simple, unbearable thought. What if she's not there? What if I'm already too late? But she was. I landed on a hovering shard of crystal. An outpost, elegant and alien, carved from iceborne tech. No guards. No traps. Just her. Standing at the edge. Wind in her hair. Silver blue skin glowing under the moonlight. She didn't turn. You're a fool, she said. I know, I replied, breathless. You risked everything to find me. I would have risked more. Now she turned, her eyes softer than I'd ever seen. No crown. No armor. Just her. I don't know what this is, she whispered. I was raised to fight, not to feel. I stepped closer. Then maybe we learned together. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then her hand, bare, trembling, reached for mine. Fingers laced. Fire and ice. I felt my heart catch. It wasn't a kiss. Not yet. But it didn't have to be. Couldn't last. We knew that. The Iceborne Council found out within a day. Earth's command, too. We were summoned. Interrogated. Accused of betrayal, treason, emotional compromise. But the thing that terrified them most? That we didn't deny it. We stood there, side by side, unflinching. We didn't plan this, I said. But it happened. And it's not weakness. It's proof. That peace is possible. That our species can be more than soldiers and politics. Remy didn't speak at first. Then she said one word. Enough. It echoed like thunder. She turned to the council. You preach purity, strength, cold logic. But look where it's gotten us. Wars, death, extinction warnings written in our own blood. Then she looked at me. He makes me feel alive. He makes me question. And I am no longer afraid of the answers. That should have been the end. But instead, it was the beginning. The next month was chaos. Earth factions protested. Iceborne purists demanded her exile. Assassination attempts were made twice. One nearly succeeded. She saved me. Again. We lived in secret for a while. An old science dome on a mountain where the stars were so close you could almost touch them. We cooked strange meals, argued over music, and spent long nights tracing constellations she remembered from her planet's twin moons. One night, she looked at me and said, I never knew warmth could be this dangerous. I smiled. And I never knew cold could feel like home. Then the war came. It was inevitable. Some viewed our relationship as a disease, an infection that had to be purged before it spread. The Iceborne Command issued an ultimatum. Return Remy to face trial or face total withdrawal. Earth's leadership panicked, mobilized fleets, called me a traitor again. I didn't care. Remy refused to run. I won't hide who I am anymore. Neither did I. So we did the only thing we could. We stood in front of the world, broadcast a message, not of rebellion, but of unity. We told them the truth, about the mission, the prophecy, the lies we uncovered beneath the ice, the peace that could come if they let it. Some laughed, some called it treason, but others, they listened. And when the first shots were fired between the fleets above Earth, something happened no one expected. A third force, neutral vessels from forgotten races, intervened. Old alliances, ancient watchers, the silent ones who had waited for signs of change. They came not to conquer, but to mediate. Because of us, because of love. It's been 2 years since then. The war never came. Not really. Talks began. Cultures collided. Borders shifted. We live in a time of delicate peace, held together by thin strings and hard choices. And somewhere in the middle of it all, there's us. Jack and Remy. Still arguing. Still surviving. Still in love. I asked her once if she believed we were part of that prophecy. That destiny brought us together. She just smirked and said, "No, human. You were just too stubborn to leave me alone." And maybe she's right. Or maybe fate has a strange sense of humor. Either way, I'd choose her again. Every time. Even if it means burning everything down to hold her hand one more time.